The Mini Countryman has always been the practical Mini, and for this new generation this is no different. It has grown substantially in size and is now purely based on the BMW X1. The question is now, is it now too big to be called a Mini? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Cars and More. This is the #1 place to be for car news and reviews. Sit back, buckle up, let's go. So, starting with the design of the new Mini Countryman, and at the front we have the latest design language of Mini, but it has been given a squarer and sharper look, even more than the previous Countryman. This can be seen in the headlights. They do still look Mini now. You can also change the graphic in them just like an Audi and the rest of the Mini range. The grille surround is quite big but separated into different segments, which gives it a smaller look to the previous Mini. We do get a decent sized central air vent now and some very discreet side vents, but on the John Cooper Works models they are more visible. We also get quite a lot of matte black plastic to give it an off-roader look, which I do quite like. Unfortunately though, we don't get a clamshell bonnet anymore, and the headlights don't have a surround anymore either, like the petrol Mini Cooper. Moving round to the side, we get a much more premium look than before, and to start with we still get some wheel arch surrounds in matte black plastic, as well as some lower sills in the same type of material too. The door cards are flush, which aren't the best, but I can get used to it. What I also like now is that we do get a lot of glass, and we also get this panel on the side to show you what model you have. I do wish this was useful now, like the Defender models, or even the one on the Hyundai Santa Fe. We do also get some roof bars now, and some cool looking wing mirrors, as well as some good wheel designs that suit this car very well. Moving round to the back, we get a classical design like the previous Countryman, which I do quite like, as it suits this Mini much better than the triangle taillights on the Cooper. The boot design is very reminiscent of the first generation Countryman, as the number plate has been moved to the bumper. We do get some big Countryman letters and a big Mini logo too. The taillights don't have a surround on them but do look quite good, especially with the changeable graphics in them. The bumper also looks quite good too, with a bit of matte black plastic and some silver plastic too. Right, let's have a look and see what battery and motor options you can have with the Mini Countryman Electric, but also an engine and gearbox options you can have with the regular Mini Countryman. So, as I said, the Mini Countryman is available with either a petrol engine or an electric engine. Let's start with the electric versions first, and the first one is called E, and this uses a 202 brake horsepower electric motor mounted on the front wheels. This is mated to a 65 kWh battery pack, giving this car a 0 to 62 time of just 8.6 seconds and a 280 mile range, which isn't too bad. The next version is called SE All 4, and this uses a dual motor setup, giving this car 310 brake horsepower and 4-wheel drive. This uses the same battery pack at 65 kWh, but the 0 to 62 time has been reduced to 5.6 seconds, which is quite quick. The range from this model now has been reduced slightly to about 255 miles. The price for the new Mini Countryman Electric starts at £33,005, which isn't too bad considering it is an electric model. Now time for the petrol models, and the first one is called C, and this uses a 1.5 litre turbo petrol engine with 170 brake horsepower. This can do 0 to 62 in 8.3 seconds and is mated to a 7-speed automatic gearbox powering the front wheels. The next engine is a 2 litre turbo petrol engine, which has 218 brake horsepower and a 0 to 62 time of just 7.1 seconds. This trim level, by the way, is called S. This goes through a 7-speed automatic gearbox, sending power to all 4 wheels. The final version of the range is the John Cooper Works version, and this used the same 2-litre turbo petrol engine from the S, but the power has been increased to 300 brake horsepower. This reduces the 0 to 62 time again down to 5.4 seconds, but the power is still sent through a 7-speed automatic gearbox to all 4 wheels. It would have been nice though to have a manual option, but sadly Mini is following trends to get rid of the manual gearbox. Anyway, the price for the petrol Mini Countryman starts at £29,110, which again isn't too bad and is very similar to the electric model, so it is nice to see the gap is closing between petrol and electric. Right, let's have a look and see what the interior is like. So, climb inside the new Mini Countryman and you are welcomed with a similar interior to the Cooper Electric. To start with, we get this big 9.4-inch OLED circular screen in the middle which runs the latest BMW iDrive OS 9. This means Mini owners can now finally have Android Auto. This screen houses your instrument cluster too, which is just like a Tesla, and I am actually okay with this as the older Minis did have a speedometer in the middle, just like the classic ones. This infotainment system can be a bit laggy now at times and a bit confusing to use, but once you have set it up it does work quite well. You also get a little assistant called Spike, which is a little dog, but sadly the climate controls are on the screen and are a bit fiddly to use. Moving down though, we get a row of 5 toggles. These are your volume control, driving modes, of which there are 8 of them. Next to this you have your fake start stop key, and you also get your gear selector and park button. Just below this you also have a few essential buttons too. The dashboard layout is a bit taller because it is an SUV, but I am okay with that, but it does resemble the latest Cooper. The centre console though is low down and it does have some useful storage, but with this car being SUV I would have liked it a bit higher. Now in front of the driver we get the new Mini steering wheel which is smaller than before, and we also get the odd indicator stalks which I am not a fan of. The seats are supportive and comfy now, and we do get some nice materials, but there are still some cheap ones around the cabin. Right, let's have a look and see what the rear seats are like. So, climbing into the back of the new Mini Countryman and you are welcomed with a decent amount of legroom and headroom. It's much better than before too. You also get a lot of premium materials in the back, as well as some USB-C ports, an armrest and even some air vents. Sadly though, there are no options for heated rear seats, which would have been nice. There is even more room for the middle seat too, and it can be used by adults but probably not for long journeys. 3 kids in the back now will be more than fine for a long journey. Let's have a look and see what the boot space is like. Opening the boot to the new Mini Countryman and you're welcomed with a decent 450 litres of space, which is much better than before, but not as good as its rivals. But with the amount of character you get with this car, we can look past that. Folding the seats down 40-20-40 split, and this increases again to 1,390 litres. You can also slide the rear seat bench forwards if you want even more room with the seats up, but you will need to opt for the level 1 pack for that. You don't buy a Mini for practicality though anyway, as it is a Mini. It says it in the name. So in summary then, what do I think of the new Mini Countryman? Well, it has the style of a Mini and has the interior that suits a Mini. And it still has the great Mini engines with the great Mini driving feel. Practicality isn't the best in its class, but that is because it's a Mini. So really then, with it being based on a much bigger car, it still feels and looks much like any other Mini that you can still buy. So yes, it is actually still a Mini. You buy this car with your heart and not your head, so you won't worry about the practicality or anything like that. You buy it for the looks. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.